Hello, and you're welcome to yet another edition of Unfiltered Conversation on Cleveland TV. All right, we'll still continue on our series facilitating investment in sustainable tourism development in Africa. And my guest this morning is Mr. Emmanuel Frimpong, who is the founder president of African Tourism Research Network. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you. Very good morning to your cherished viewers.
Mm. Good to have you on board. All right, we'll
Thank you.
start with this. All right, you are obviously an industry expert, and you've done so well in the industry for the time you've been there. What prompted your interest in African tourism?
Well, thank you very much. My background is economics and finance, and having studied in Ghana in the UK, I observed Ghana has a lot of potential in terms of tourism offering. And of course, Africa also equally has a lot of tourism potential. But I observed we were not promoting our tourism potentials, our destinations, our culture, our heritage. Uh, to foreigners who would want to come to Ghana. And a lot of them also had an erroneous impression about African continent. So then I decided this is an opportunity for me to come back home to Ghana to actually first educate our people, let them know the potential of tourism in creating jobs for the teeming unemployed youth, creating job opportunities for women, and also by so doing, getting revenue for our economy. So I thought of it and then I decided to get into tourism. And I've been involved in tourism policy development and all sorts of things regarding tourism. So that actually prompted me to get into tourism to make sure that we offer what we have to the world. And by so doing, create job opportunities and also get revenue from it.
That's a good one. Now, let's rate it. You've been good or worked hand in hand with industrial experts both in Africa and then across Africa. So how do you rate the tourism sector in Africa?
Yes, Francois. Unfortunately, if you look at the tourism offering in terms of the global percentage of Africa, we are below 5%. So what that means is that there is so much room for improvement for Africa. For me, I believe Africa should be contributing not less than 25 to 30% to the global tourism offering because we have almost everything that you can think of in terms of tourism, our culture alone, our heritage, our sites. We have places that people can visit, and we are such a nice people, so hospitable. So the challenge we have is we haven't understood tourism as a business. If you look at Africa, most African countries, most of us don't even take our holidays. We work throughout the year and we are not even thinking of holiday. So if we can actually look at tourism as a business and tourism as something that will be good for ourselves, then we'll begin to do domestic tourism, we'll begin intra-Africa tourism, and then we begin to do international tourism where we get people to come and visit our country. And when they come with foreign exchange, they come with money that they will spend in the local community. And the woman that is selling on the street, the guy that is doing shoe shining, all these people will benefit from the tourism value chain. So far, what we are contributing to the global arena is so little, but we can improve.
Yes, I know you said one or two things about my next question, but I'll still ask the question anyway, and which is the economic value, okay, of tourism to any economy of the world. And as practical and perspective, now, what do you think is the economic value of tourism? I just want to take it in such a way that you've explained it earlier, but I want to take it in such a way that the audience will get to understand it better. What do we tend to gain when we invest in tourism?
Okay, so by the UNWTO, for every 10 worker you see, 2 to 3 out of that is in the tourism and hospitality sector. Now, if you look at just some 2, 3 years ago when COVID hit all of us and we could not travel, we're literally locked down. see the impact that it had on our economy. Tourism was the first sector that started propelling the entire world in terms of people starting to travel, people starting to spending, people starting to go into hotels and things like that. It began energizing the entire global economy. So the value of tourism is so huge. Now, if you come to Africa, most African countries, including my own, Ghana, Gambia, Senegal, Egypt, Morocco, they depend on tourism. About 30 to 40% of most economies in Africa depend on tourism. So the tourism potential and the value of tourism is so much, apart from the financial, the revenue that we get. When you also travel to different countries, different economies, for instance, if I travel to Nigeria, if a Nigerian travels to Ghana, I get to understand Nigerians. Nigerians get to understand me. So that bonding is created because of tourism. And if I frequent Nigeria and I frequent Kenya, Tanzania, then I begin to see myself, oh, actually, they are my brothers. So whatever I'm doing to them, I get to know that they are my brother. So those are the social benefit that we also get from tourism.
But let's look at harnessing tourism for potential growth in Africa. Now, whose responsibility is it to harness the resources of tourism? Is it that of the government? I mean, is it that of the stakeholders? Or should it even be a
That's quite an
collective
interesting.
effort?
That's quite an interesting topic or question to ask. Now, if you look at tourism, it is the responsibility of the government, various government, to lead tourism. But in actual implementation, in actual working and making sure tourism is well harnessed is also the responsibility of the private sector. So tourism sits on two legs, private sector and government. So we need to encourage public partnership. So government will have its responsibilities and the private sector will have its responsibilities. Government should have policies that will lead the private sector to develop it. Government should create enabling environment. The private sector is not his or her responsibility to construct roads, to bring electricity, to bring water. It is the responsibility of the government. And when government is able to do all these things, then the private sector will be encouraged to set up a hotel or a restaurant or anything that will attract somebody to visit that country. So it's a two ball game affair, government and private sector. Of course, we also need our development partners, but really it's between government and the private sector.
That's all right. We'll actually get back to that later on the roles of the government in developing this sector. But right now, let's look at your organization, of whom you were the founder president, the African Tourism Network Research Network. All right. Now, what was the aim, the objective, and then the primary focus of the organization?
Okay, so before I set up this organization, I worked as the executive secretary for Ghana Tourism Federation. Ghana Tourism Federation is the umbrella body for all private tourism sectors in Ghana. So we have about 30 different trade associations. You talk about the hotel, the restaurants, the tour operators, tour guides, chefs, about 30 of them under this federation. So that gave me an overview of how the tourism works. Then I saw that there was a challenge, and the challenge or a gap that has to do with data. I realized we were not having the right policies because we didn't have data to back most of the policies that government wanted to enroll. And then again, I also observed that a lot of people were doing tourism without being ethical, responsible, and also looking at sustainability. So I said, look, there's the need for us to have a civil society organization in the tourism and travel sector. This organization will harness all the resources that we have, look at getting data for the tourism, look at responsible tourism, ethical tourism, and sustainable tourism, because we cannot continue to do what we've been doing. Very soon we will destroy our environment, we will destroy our culture, we will destroy our heritage, because we are not being sustainable minded, we are not being ethically minded in terms of what we do. So African Tourism Research Network was set up to take care of the data gap, to work with academia and industry to create opportunity for academia to do research that is industry relevant, so that if academia is interested in research, your research that you are doing, when you finish, you should be able to give that research to industry, so that industry will use that research, implement it, and create job opportunities. So this is the reason African Tourism Research Network was set up.
All right. So can you relate with us any success stories you've had so far since inauguration of the organization?
Well, so the network was inaugurated in March, and just after that, we had opportunity to be invited by the Spanish embassy in Ghana to look at areas that they can support us. And interestingly, they had a funding that we also contacted a few organizations who could benefit from that funding. They've sent application and it's ongoing. Just last 2 weeks, we African Tourism Research Network was approached by International Labour Organization to organize a program for the informal sector, the traditional caterers and kente. You see, I'm wearing a beautiful kente, which is Ghanaian. So we were approached by International Labour Organization to gather social media marketing training for that group, because we realize most often these Kente people are in our rural communities. They will spend months to create Kente, sell it so cheap to somebody, and the person sells it online so expensive, and they don't get anything. So we thought if we train them to actually be on online and promote their kente, sell their kente there, then they will be able to get more of the money that goes to somebody else and develop their communities. And of course, the traditional caterers are the ones that are uh, cooking our local dishes. They also needed that training so that they can promote their food on online. People can order online. So these are two things. Interestingly, just yesterday, we also got approval from MasterCard Foundation to do training for some informal sector in economy. So there's a lot of things that we have done so far within this short time, 2 to 3 months, and there's more that we are hoping to do.
All right. The event you just spoke about, is it the one you had in Ghana recently?
The one we had just this week is
Yeah.
different. That is the presidential summit on tourism, which we were very much involved. So that is
Exactly.
different.
We'll discuss that later. But in your chosen profession, in what you do, obviously there are challenges, there are limitations. Would you mind sharing with us the challenges and the limitations you encountered while trying to make this impact in the tourism sector?
I think the fundamental challenge is people's appreciation for tourism. For instance, unfortunately, we have a community that has a lot of illiteracy, and people have this perception that if you really are looking for a job to do, you shouldn't be working in the tourism sector. It doesn't pay. That's what people think, which is not true. And especially if you are a young woman, a young person working in the hotel, you are tagged as somebody who doesn't have morals. And also, our government agencies also do not understand tourism. So it becomes difficult when you want to appeal for support, because I mean, and over, you see the budget for tourism insignificant. It doesn't reach anywhere. So these are some of the challenges that we have, and also the right skills for our working group. If you look at our universities, the courses that they have for tourism is mainly about masters in tourism, masters in hospitality. But when you come to the bottom line, like the guy who is working as a concierge, the guy working or the lady working in a restaurant, most of them come in raw, and there's no training or a working pathway for you, that if you start from this level in 2 years, 3 years, this is what you need to do to get to the next stack, and salary levels are also low. So these are some of the challenges that we have in the industry that is not helping the industry to grow. And of course, we have infrastructural challenges as well, because if you look at our roads, if you look at our other tourism infrastructures, it's bad, and it limits our effort to actually attract a lot of investment in the sector.
Yeah, so what do you think are the solutions to these challenges? I mean, whose responsibility, okay, is it to provide a solution?
I think the solution is one of the things we are doing now. And I want to congratulate Clevna TV for organizing this, because thousands and thousands of people will see this, and they will see that, oh, okay, so Africa has a lot to offer, and that will attract foreign direct investment. And of course, you are also educating people by what we are doing now, that tourism is a business and a lot more people can be involved. So I thank you for doing this. Beyond that, government also has a responsibility to train people in the tourism sector. And let me say this, I forgot to mention this. We also approached government to help with training of workers in the sector, and 4,000 people are being trained as we speak now. But the next about 30 or 45 minutes, I'll be leading a team online about some of the trainings that we've had, and the recaps, and a few other things that we need to do. So government is also helping in training workers in the sector. The other thing that we also need to do as a solution is to promote domestic tourism, is to encourage Ghanaians, Nigerians, Ugandans, Rwandese, everybody to participate in domestic tourism in their own country. We should be able to enjoy what God has given us as a people ourselves before other people will come and enjoy. So this is the narrative that we need to change. Tourism is not for white people. Tourism is not for rich people. Tourism is not for a certain group of people. Tourism is for everyone. Once a while, just leave your home with your family, go and stay in a hotel, go and sit at the beach, go and visit a forest, a place where you come back home and you feel rejuvenated. So these are some of the things that we need to do as a solution to prepare the economy.
There's obviously a great work to do, because the Africans that I know do not really see any advantage in taking a rest from day-to-day work and all that. But we do hope we're able to make the necessary changes. But let's look at it.
Yes.
Before the government can come into projects, okay, to fund projects and all that, they have to be sure that what they are investing in at the long run make a difference in the society. All right. So now, illicit investment in tourism, okay, as solving the twin problems of unemployment and poverty in Africa.
Tourism is been now understood, and there's data backing it, that tourism is what will save Africa. And I was privileged during the COVID to make a presentation to IMF and World Bank and the Bank of Ghana, and they confirmed that they've also identified tourism as one of the pivotal sectors that will help the African continent. And beyond the revenue that tourism brings, there's an aspect of social responsibility that it brings on all of us, especially when we are looking at sustainable and ethical tourism. So tourism has a potential to bring revenue and to bring people together. For instance, if you take our beaches, when we focus on tourism, the other thing that we are doing is that we are also telling people that let's keep our environment clean because we are inviting visitors. And Africa is part of our culture. We are hospitable. And anytime we are having visitors, we do everything we can to make sure that they feel at home. And let's translate it into a larger extent that yes, we are inviting people to come to our home, our country. Let's clean. And whilst we are cleaning, we are also dealing with health issues. We are dealing with things that there are a lot of sicknesses that are killing Africans that should not be because we are not paying attention to hygiene, to cleanliness. Those diseases are killing us. So the moment government comes in and is encouraging Africans, is encouraging our country people to pay attention to tourism, communities will realize that, look, tourism brings us money. It makes our communities clean. It makes us bond together. It makes us respect what our forefathers left us. It makes us to respect our culture, our heritage. Whilst we are doing that, there's on one leg is a social benefit. On the other leg is economic benefit that helps everybody. And any investor that wants to invest in a country would want to see to it that yes, you are sustainable, you value ethics, you also environment. Now everybody is talking about the green economy. What is the green economy is all about? It's about respecting the environment. And if government comes in and we all come together and we all protect our environment, it gives us all hope.
All right. My next question is actually going to like feature most of the questions you've already given, but for the sake of emphasis, I'll still ask the question anyway. You've analyzed the benefits of tourism development to Africa and to our economies. All right. Now, what should Africa do to benefit from the growing share, okay, of tourism in the world economy? Should we
One,
now
what, sorry,
go ahead, please?
what Africa needs to do is one, to come to the terms that tourism is business. So we cannot do it anyhow. Tourism is science. It's not everybody who gets up and gets into tourism and then starts operating. Second, government also need to know that tourism has a potential to bring employment. Therefore, there's the need for investment in the tourism sector. When I talk about investment, I'm talking about investment in roads, investment in infrastructure, investment in technology. Now, people can sit anywhere. There's what we call virtual tourism. Artificial intelligence is taking over most of the traditional jobs. How do we take advantage of it? Government should invest in artificial intelligence so that, yes, if I have a site in Ghana, a site like Kintampo Waterfalls, how can somebody sit in Japan and enjoy Kintampo Waterfalls? How can somebody sit in Japan and look at Cape Coast Castle and still enjoy the facilities that we have there, the stories, everything we have there? So government should be able to invest in technology. The other thing that we also need to do, we also need to invest in the human resources. We need to train the right people to do the right jobs in the tourism sector. So training and capacity building is extremely important. If you look at medical tourism, sports tourism, funeral tourism, Africans are known of the way we do our funeral. It is something we can package. Funeral tourism is something we can package for other people to come and see how we do our funerals. Even the way we do our weddings, naming ceremony can be packaged. So packaging of our tourism offering is also one of the things that we do. I believe if we are able to look at some of these things, people want authentic things to see. They want to see our culture, the raw culture that we have. They are tired of seeing all the things that we can see. Yes, some people are interested in leisure tourism, but majority of the tourists that come to Africa are interested in our culture, how we package our culture, not to destroy it. We need to also be very careful so that they don't come and adulterate our culture. So we need to look at all these things. And when that is done, I believe tourism in Africa will take a center stage and we will see the benefits.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Frimpong. You've spoken a lot, and I would like you to leave off with this. All right, in Ghana recently, you had an event. All right, I want you to shed light on that event and how it relates to tourism.
Come again? Sorry, I didn't get it first.
All right, I said in Ghana recently, you had an event there in regards to tourism. I'd like you to share the experience with us. What was the experience like?
The experience was enormous and phenomenal. And let me say thank you to our President Nana Akufo-Addo, for initiating this. Early this year, he presented State of the Nations address to the country. And in the State of the Nations address, he said that he wants to build Ghana's economy on tourism. And therefore, he wanted to set up a tourism presidential summit on tourism, which was organized just this Tuesday and Wednesday. So what he did was that he invited us to the Peduase Lodge, which is one of the homes of the government. So we had about probably 600 to 700 people from the tourism fraternity and from the financial and technology sectors. So we all came together to think about tourism, to think about ways that we can actually promote tourism and make tourism the center of our economy. And it was interesting. Normally, you don't get a president to sit in through panel discussions. When we finished the panel discussions, he joined us to go for lunch, and he was around us and encouraging and motivating us that, look, I believe in tourism. I believe in the capacity of tourism to employ people. I believe in the capacity of tourism to bring revenue. So basically, he challenged us that he wants to see 4 million people, 2 million people visiting Ghana this year, and he wants to see the economy tourism bringing $4 billion into the country by the end of the year. Don't forget, Ghana has gone to IMF asking, so if the tourism sector can give Ghana $4 billion, when as a country we've gone to borrow 3 billion, then that tells you that tourism has the potential, and we've done it. In 2019, the sector provided over $3 billion to the country. So it means tourism can do it, and the president is dependent on the tourism sector to do it. And we take that challenge and we will do it and surprise him.
And then I will call that good leadership. And we would like to one of these days host him on this very program, because I so much believe that his own voice and his testimony will lend a voice and set a good examples to other African presidents. All right, thanks so much,
think that
Mr.
would be
Emmanuel.
great.
Yeah, so thanks so much, Mr. Emmanuel Frimpong, for being my guest this morning. And I thank you
you
for
so
all
much for having me.
For Africa tourism.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you.
And now, viewers, we draw the curtain here for today. I remain Frank Khalid Media to have a blessed day.